Welcome to the Effortless English Show with the world's #1 English teacher, AJ Hoge, where AJ's more than 40 million students worldwide finally learn English once and for all, without the boring textbooks, classrooms, and grammar drills. Here's AJ with a quick piece to help you learn to speak fluent English effortlessly.
Hi, I'm AJ Hoge, the author of Effortless English, Learn to Speak English Like a Native. Join my VIP program. Join today. Speak English powerfully. Speak English fluently. Speak English confidently. Think in English. Join my VIP program today. Join at effortlessenglishclub.com. effortlessenglishclub.com. Join today. It's a Monday today in Japan, but it's a holiday, so very busy today in the city. Lots of people walking around. I have chosen our next book for the book club. Not a few I was considering. I thought about maybe Dale Carnegie book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I thought about The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Thought about The Old Man and the Sea. But finally decided on The Alchemist. The Alchemist will be our next book. Not this weekend, going to take a break this weekend. So no book club this coming weekend, next weekend. But when we do start our next book, it will be The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. He is Brazilian. Paulo Coelho is Brazilian, so the writer is Brazilian. Now, this book was originally written in Portuguese, but there's a very good English translation. And this book, in fact, the English version of the book, was a big bestseller in the United States. A very, very big, successful, popular book, The Alchemist. Now, luckily, translating from Portuguese to English is fairly easy to do. Usually, the translations are quite easy because the two languages are fairly close together. Obviously, as languages become farther apart, the translations can become more and more difficult for them to be good, but modern Portuguese to modern English is not bad. And as I said, the English version of the book is well written, well translated, and was very popular. So we'll be doing that one, The Alchemist. Get the book. I recommend buy the book. Get the ebook, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. What's this book about? This is a fiction book. It's fiction. It's a specific kind of story called a parable. A parable. A parable is a story that is very symbolic. Right, it means, most stories do have symbolism, right? There's symbols in the story, hidden meanings or deeper meanings in most stories, of course. But a parable, very specifically, has strong symbols. And really, almost everything in the story is a symbol for something deeper. This is a spiritual parable, so this is a story about a spiritual journey. There's the main character's name is Santiago. Spanish name. The main character is on a journey, searching. Now, at the surface of the story, Santiago's searching for a treasure, for gold, right? Money. But, of course, the real journey, the real search The real story is something much deeper, more internal, more spiritual. So that's what we will read, and what we'll learn about. We'll read and learn and discuss Paulo Coelho's ideas about this topic, about your own spiritual journey, your own spiritual search, your search for meaning, your search for purpose, your search for truth. Because that's really the deeper story of The Alchemist. It's a nice book. I haven't read it, I read it a long time ago, so I honestly don't remember the details, but I do remember it was good. Now, one interesting thing about Paulo Coelho, which I find very interesting, because I have a personal connection with him a little bit, is that Paulo Coelho, he did the Camino de Santiago. He walked the Camino de Santiago, right? That pilgrimage in Spain. I'm guessing that's why the character in The Alchemist is named Santiago. I'm guessing it's a little bit of a kind of a reference to, a connection to the Camino de Santiago. And what's interesting when you read about Paulo Coelho and his story is that, he was living his life, and he had a pretty good life, was doing well, but he had a dream to be a writer. He really, from a young age, he dreamed of being a writer, but his parents really did not like that idea. In fact, his parents really were quite unkind to him, quite mean. They did some kind of bad things to him. Because he wanted to be a writer, but his parents hated that idea. His dad, I think, was an engineer. They wanted him to be a lawyer, I think it was. So when he tried to be different, he wanted to be he talked to them about being a writer. They were very upset, very angry. So he kind of suffered a bit in his young adult years, his teenage and young adult years, because of this. And then around the time of age 40, he walked the Camino de Santiago. He did the pilgrimage of the Camino de Santiago. And he followed the same path I did. He started in Saint-Jean, over in France, across the border, and then walked from Saint-Jean to Santiago. Now, he did it, Paulo Coelho did this, very much as a religious pilgrimage, because Paulo Coelho is Christian, and so for him this was a very religious pilgrimage. And what's interesting is that this pilgrimage had a powerful effect on him, right? He had a huge change, he suddenly kind of woke up. It was a powerful spiritual experience for him, walking the Camino de Santiago, doing that pilgrimage. And it's kind of like he kind of woke up and he realized several things about his life while he was doing the pilgrimage. And so when he finished the pilgrimage, he decided, no more waiting, no more fear, no more worry. I dreamed of being a writer, and I'm going to finally do it. I'm going to do it, right? Because he like you, like me, like many of us, he had all these excuses, all these reasons that he had this big dream of being a writer, but he didn't do it. He didn't do it. And all the way, and he's middle-aged. He's 41 years old. Still not a writer. Still never even tried, really. And so finally, he did the Camino. It was a powerful experience, and when he finished, he decided, okay, enough. I have to try for my dream. I will be a writer. And then he started writing. He wrote a book. His first book was about the Camino, actually. It's called The Pilgrimage. I'm not sure how it's popular now. I think when he published it, it was not a huge success. Then he wrote The Alchemist. The Alchemist was his second main book, I think. He might have written some other small things before, but he wrote The Alchemist. Again, in the beginning, The Alchemist was not a big success. His first publisher in Brazil dropped the book. So, they published it. It did not sell much. So then they dropped it. They dropped his contract. So then he had to look around again. He found another publisher, again in Brazil. They published his book. It started to sell a little bit, and then a little more, and then a little more. Some word of mouth, people talking about it, and then gradually it sold more and more and more and more. It became more and more popular in Brazil, the Portuguese version. And then an American visiting Brazil. There was an American visiting Brazil who I guess could read Portuguese, and read his book, read The Alchemist, the original one, in Brazil, and said, "Oh, this is a great book. This is amazing." And I guess this American had some connections to publishing, so this American went back to America and said, "Oh, we have to publish this book in English." And this is a bit of good luck, actually. And so a publisher in America published his book in English. And again, kind of the same pattern happened in America. First, it didn't sell much, then it sold a little bit, then a little more, then a little more, then a little more, started growing, more and more people hearing about it. And then finally, a few kind of famous people started finding his book. They read The Alchemist and they really liked it, and they started talking about it. It's kind of some celebrities, like there's one radio host named Rush Limbaugh read it and liked it. He talked about it. And then I think President Clinton at the time read his book and mentioned the book. And so suddenly, boom, it became huge in America, sold lots and lots and lots and lots of copies. And, his dream, he realized his dream. He lived his dream. He became a huge, big, successful, professional writer. And after The Alchemist, he became a full-time writer after that. That became his main job, his main career, writer. So he did it. He accomplished his dream. And, this was when he was in his 40s. So I find that to be a very inspiring and powerful story. His personal story is quite amazing. The book we'll get some great ideas from the book, but even just his story as a person, as his personal story is very motivational, I think, and inspiring. It shows us, number one, that we've got to go for these dreams. We've got to do it. And you can see from his story, it's a very common story, in fact, that most people, most of us, we have these dreams in our life, and so many of us just avoid. We avoid doing it because we have all these little fears, we have all these little worries, we have excuses. Maybe we're lazy, maybe we're distracted, maybe all of those. And so we don't do it, and we keep delaying, year after year. We still have it. It's in our mind somewhere, but we don't do it. We don't do it. And then some people, the people who finally succeed, they usually have some kind of experience where they wake up. Something happens, right? That they're going year after year after year after year after year after year after year. afraid or worried or distracted or lazy. And then something happens. Something happens to make them wake up. They finally just wake up and say, enough. I can't wait anymore. This is crazy. No more fear, no more worry, no more laziness, no more distraction, no more excuses, no more. I'm doing it. I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna try with all my heart, with all my energy. I'm just going to do it. And you know, what causes that? What causes people to finally just do it? To wake up? Well, it's different, right? I don't know. Some people just seem to, I don't know what happens. Sometimes it's something happens in their life. Sometimes it's something, sometimes it can be a tragedy. Something bad happens in their life. They have a big failure, a big loss. And this kind of shocks them and makes them realize, oh my God, what am I doing? I'm wasting my life. Sometimes it's like this story, Paulo Coelho's story. It wasn't a loss. It was kind of the opposite. It was a powerful spiritual experience. He went and he walked the Camino de Santiago, and this experience of walking every day and visiting the churches and praying and thinking about his life woke him up. He woke up, and he realized, again, what am I doing? I'm wasting my life. And some people, it's nothing big. It's hard to find it seems like nothing outside causes it. Some people, it's just like something inside happens. Something happens inside where they just suddenly, finally wake up and they just realize enough of this fear, enough of waiting. I don't want to waste my life. I've got to do this. I've got to at least try. And they just do it. They wake up and they try. Right? This experience of waking up is powerful. It's very powerful. So I love that because we're going to see in the story that is a common idea that goes through the story. It's a common idea we find in many stories. This idea of people, kind of living in fear and worries and doubt, confusion, and then suddenly waking up. Here's another nice quote from the Dhammapada. I'm reading the Dhammapada, so many good little quotes in this book. Powerful quotes. But here's a good one. It's a little bit connected to the Alchemist, Paulo Coelho's story. It's a good one to think about. All the effort must be made by you. Buddhas only show the way. So the Dhammapada is a Buddhist book, so it talks about Buddhas. A Buddha is a awakened person, someone who is awake to the truth, to the full truth. So here it is again. Listen to the quote. All the effort must be made by you. Buddhas only show the way. Now, if you're not Buddhist, you can replace this Buddhas with other words. We can say, teachers only show the way. Prophets meaning like a religious prophet. Prophets only show the way. Gurus only show the way. Coaches only show the way. All the effort must be made by you. That's the key point, is the first sentence. So we do have wise people, good people from history, if we're lucky, maybe in our own lives. But they can only show the way. They can't do it for us. That's what this is saying, right? It's saying you have to do it. You have to do it. If you think of it as a journey, like a pilgrimage, let's say the Camino de Santiago. We'll use that as an example. You want to do the Camino. So someone can show the way to you. You know, so you could read a guidebook that would show you the way. It'd give you maps, would tell you where to go, tell you how to plan, give you lots of great ideas, and help you and guide you. You could, if you wanted, you could even pay a guide. You could pay someone to go with you and show you the way. But the guide, the book, teachers, gurus, Buddhas, prophets, they can only show the way. You still have to walk. You still have to do it, right? All the effort must be made by you. They won't carry you. They won't carry you. They won't do it for you. You still have to take every single step yourself. You have to take every step yourself. It's just like Effortless English, right? I can teach you. You can become a VIP member. You'll get lessons from me. About every 2 weeks, you get new lessons. I'll give you advice. I'll tell you how to use the lessons. You could get my pronunciation course. I'll train you to, have great pronunciation. I'll do all of that, but all the effort must be made by you. You still have to do it. You have to listen every day. You have to follow the system every day. I can't do it for you. I can't do it for you. No one else can do it for you. You have to do it yourself. I can point the way, I can give advice, I can help, but you finally must do it. And this is life in general. This quote is talking about free will, it's talking about self-mastery. The deeper meaning of this quote is that your mind is your kingdom. Your own mind is your kingdom. Your own life is your kingdom. And you are the master. Now that has a challenge, and it's also good news. The challenge means you can't give away. You can't give away responsibility. You can't blame everybody else. You can't wait for someone else to save you. You can't wait for someone else to rescue you. They can't. Because your mind is your kingdom. Your life is your kingdom. Only you can do it. People can give you advice. People can point the direction. But you must do it. No one else can't. Even if someone else wants to do it for you, they can't. It's impossible. It's impossible. Now, so some people think this is bad news because they're attached. They attach to weakness. They're afraid to be their own master. They're afraid to make their own decisions. They're afraid to take a risk. They want someone else to tell them what to do. They want someone else to do it for them. They want to be a victim. But it's impossible. It doesn't matter. If you just blindly follow someone else, that's still your choice. You're still making the decision yourself. There's no way to avoid responsibility for your own life. Now, for me, that's not bad news. I don't think that's bad news, but it is a challenge. It's a challenge. It means every single person has this same challenge. To be the master of your own mind, the master of your own life. No one can live your life for you. No one can. No one else can rescue you. I mean, that sounds a little scary sometimes, but it's the truth. But if you think about it deeply, more deeply, you'll realize this is also your power. What this is saying is that you have the power inside you. You are free. This is the source of your power. You have the power over your own mind. You have the power over your own life. You can't control what other people do. You can't control the world. That's true. You're not a god. You're a human. But you do have power, great power. And that is the power over your own mind. You are the king of your own mind, the king of your own life. This is a big power. No one can take that from you. No one can take that from you. We get this teaching again and again and again from wise people all through history. No one can take away that power that you have over your own mind. They can put you in a jail. They can lock you up. They can do all kinds of things, but you have the power over your own mind. You are the king of your own mind. You are the king of your own life. This is the source of your power. So if you try to avoid that, you become weak. If you try to blame other people, you become weak. If you want other people to do it for you, you become weak. If you let fear control you, you become weak. If you let worry and doubt control you, you become weak. And unhappy. But the opposite's also true. Paulo Coelho's story shows what happens when you do the opposite, when you wake up, when you realize this, when you make the effort, when you realize that you must make the effort. No one else will do it. No one else could make Paulo Coelho a writer, right? No one else could do it for him. He had to do it. He had to overcome the fear himself. He had to overcome his laziness, his fear, his doubts. Only he could do that. No one could do that for him. And of course, he had to sit down and write the books. No one else was going to write for him. To be a writer, he had to write. He could learn from other writers. He could study other writers. He could be inspired and motivated by other writers. But finally, he had to make all the effort himself. No one else would do it for him. He had to do it. And this is what he realized when he was walking the Camino. He woke up, he realized, it's me. Only I can do this. Only I can do this. It's my choice. I do it or I don't do it. No one else will ever do this for me. He says, he woke up, he realized, I can't blame my parents anymore. I can't blame my parents. It's because they are not responsible. I am. It's not my parents' life, it's my life. So he realized, I have to stop blaming. No more blaming. No more blaming other people. No more blaming my parents. I'm 40 years old. It's my choice. I have the power. I have to do it myself. Just like the Camino, he had to walk it. His parents couldn't do it for him. His friends couldn't do it for him. No one else could. He had to walk it himself. And so it is with you and me. I can't do it for you. No one else can do it for you. Whatever those dreams are for you, whatever the dreams you have for your life, for your family, no one else can do it. Only you. And the fears and the worries and the doubts you have, no one else can overcome them. You have to. No one else can overcome them for you. You can be inspired by others. You can be motivated by others. I hope to do that for you. I hope to help you with that. But finally, in the end, it's your choice. It's finally, in the end, your choice. It's just like me when I started my own business in Effortless English. I wanted to be free financially. I wanted to be free financially, and I finally decided I've got to do it. Enough thinking about it, enough talking about it, enough worrying about it, enough complaining about it, enough blaming others, all that stuff. Enough, enough, enough. I just decided I'm going to do something about it. And the first thing I did was that I cut all of my expenses and lived in a car and lived in a van. And then the second thing I did was started a business. Right? No one could do that for me. I read books, I learned, I tried to learn and be inspired by others. I certainly was, but finally, I had to do it myself. It always comes back to us, to our own minds, our own choices. Well, you need to hear this. You need to hear this, because in our world now, in the media especially, a lot of messages in the media, a lot of messages going to people about the opposite. You know, blame everybody else. Complain and blame everybody else. It makes you weak. That's what makes you weak, to blame others. Then you never take action because you blame them. Oh, I can't do it because of them. That makes you weak. You're a weakling. You're a victim. And lots of people like to focus on that because it's easy. Right? It's easy. You don't have to fight the fight inside yourself. You just say, oh, I can't do it because my parents were mean. My parents were bad. My parents didn't support me. It's their fault. Blame. Or it's because I'm, some race, I'm a minority, or because I'm a woman, or because I'm short. I don't know, right? Everybody has an excuse. Blame. And then, of course, you're weak then. It's because of the government. It's because of the bad economy. Even the schools. We know they're evil. We just studied a whole book about why and how the schools are evil and terrible. But we can't just blame them and then do nothing, because that just makes us weak. Then they win. So yes, it's true, the schools were evil. Yes, it's true, the schools put a lot of fear into you, a lot of worries in you, but it's your job to overcome that. You have to overcome the doubts. You have to overcome the worry. You have to overcome the fear. You have to unlearn what you learned in school. You have to see the truth and take action. Yes, it's true. We all suffered in school. We all learned a lot of lies. We all have to deal with that. But it's our responsibility. No one else will do it for us. John Taylor Gatto did a good job of showing us the way, but we have to do it. So just blaming, endlessly blaming, that's a victim mindset. So that's not the purpose of seeing the truth is to understand and then take action, right? It's the next step. That's why I chose The Alchemist, by the way. That's why I chose this book, because I feel that with John Taylor Gatto and with Rich Dad Poor Dad also, and with Animal Farm, we got a very good, deep understanding, a red pill of the truth. We see all the lies. We see the ugly truths. With Animal Farm, we see the techniques of propaganda. We saw the techniques of propaganda and lies, especially used in the media, government in the media. With Rich Dad Poor Dad, we saw the truths about money and also how to overcome them. And then with Dumbing Us Down, we saw the truths about education and schooling and also how to overcome. So we're now, if you did all three books with me, you are red-pilled, okay? You have a very clear understanding of the truth, but now we must move forward. We can't just get stuck on being upset about the ugly truth. We can't just be stuck and complain endlessly. We've got to take the next step, which is to wake up and take action in a positive way. Do what's right, follow our dreams, create the life we want. This is one of the dangers of becoming red-pilled, that some people get stuck in the first step. Some people never move past step one. Step one makes you angry. Of course it does. Step one makes you upset. When you see the truth, you realize all those lies. Of course you get angry and upset. I do, you do, we all do. But we have to be careful, because we can't get stuck there. If we don't move forward after that, well, then we just become weak. We're just angry and upset all the time, but we're victims. We feel like victims. Oh, I'm a victim of school. I'm a victim of my parents. I'm a victim of the media. That makes us weak. That makes us easy to control still. So I chose The Alchemist because The Alchemist talks about the next step, which is to search for, to pursue, to get, to create the life we want. This is the next step. After you wake up, you act. Just like Neo in the Matrix, right? After Neo woke up, he was shocked. It was a terrible, terrible, terrible truth. Painful, ugly, horrible. But he didn't just cry and cry and cry every day and blame everybody and say, this is terrible. Oh, they lied to us. Oh, he didn't focus on that. No, he took the next step. The next step, what did he do? He started to train his mind, control his mind, discipline his mind. And then he started to fight for what he wanted, what was good. He started to fight for truth, for goodness. He didn't stop. The red pill is only the first step. No, actually, in the movie, one of the bad guys is with Neo, right? He's with Neo's team, but he betrays them. And that bad guy, I can't remember his name. Cypher, maybe? I can't remember. Anyway, the bad guy who betrays them, he's stuck as a victim. He wakes up also, but he just complains and complains and complains. He just keeps focusing on how terrible everything is. He can't move forward. He won't go to the next step. He's just unhappy, 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 and then he finally betrays everybody because he just wants to forget. He wants to forget the truth because he's so unhappy about it. He's weak. But Neo and Morpheus are different. So we'll do The Alchemist. We can think of life as a journey. I mean, The Alchemist, the book we're going to do, The Alchemist describes the journey of Santiago. Santiago looking for his treasure. And in many ways, life is a journey. It's an internal journey or a spiritual journey. Right? A spiritual journey, a spiritual search, an internal search. Even if you stay in one town your whole life, internally, hopefully, you're learning and growing, and it's a journey, an internal journey. And our job in life, one of our perhaps our most important purpose in life is to keep going, to keep learning, to continue moving forward, growing wiser spiritually until the end. We can think of the Camino as a metaphor, right? You keep walking until you reach the end. And during the journey with each step. You're trying to learn, you're trying to grow, you're trying to understand more. This is what makes a pilgrimage different than just a trip. A trip, you're just traveling around having fun. But a pilgrimage, the idea of a pilgrimage is that there is an external journey, right? You're traveling to a place, but at the same time, there's an internal spiritual journey also. And that's the most important journey. So when you're walking the Camino, what makes it special, it's not the walk. Okay, you can just go for a hike anytime you want, anywhere. That's just hiking, that's just walking, that's just exercise. But the idea of a pilgrimage is that it's an internal journey at the same time. A deep internal journey. That each step you're taking on the path, you're growing wiser, you're going deeper, deeper, deeper inside of your own mind, of your own heart. That the external journey, the walk, is a symbol, a metaphor for the more important spiritual journey. That's why it's a pilgrimage, not just a hiking trip. And this is true in all different pilgrimages you find around the world with different religions. Okay, it's not tourism. You're not just going, oh, look at the temple. Oh, look at that. That's nice. Okay, that's tourism. No, it's a journey. That's the reason you walk the Camino, for example. I mean, if it was just a trip, people would just fly directly to the town of Santiago, right? Or take a train there. And that's convenient. If you just want to go look at the church, you could just fly there directly, look at the church in one weekend, and then leave. So why do people walk? Why do people start in France and walk for a whole month? Or some people walk longer. It's not for physical exercise. It's something deeper. And we can think of our whole life this way, from when we're born to when we die. That every day is a step on the path, this internal path, this spiritual path. And each day we're meant to get closer to truth and wisdom and understanding. And we should think of our lives as a spiritual journey in this way. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, so enjoy the book. Finish Dumbing Us Down, I recommend. Read that book, finish that book. You have a couple weeks, you have at least 2 more weeks until we start The Alchemist. So you can finish Dumbing Us Down, read that book, do your best. And then we will start this next book, which is really a fantastic book also. Until then, have a great day. And as always, join my VIP program. Join my VIP program. Speak English confidently and fluently, effortlessly. Think in English. Train English with me. Join my VIP program today at effortlessenglishclub.com. Go to effortlessenglishclub.com.